fucking my imitation. Welcome back, listeners, to the Brighter Side of Blue, our worldwide podcast. Coming to you almost live, back to almost live, Producer John. We couldn't pull it off, so we're back to almost live from Columbo's Cafe and Tavern in Dogtown, St. Louis. Columbo's is the home of the thin crust Seabo's Pizza and daily lunch special.
Every day.
I'm Danny.
I'm Tommy.
JJ.
Producer Johnny O'Malley.
Oh,
He's
Producer
fitting to go.
Johnny
He's
O'Malley.
fitting to go.
He's just
O'Malley.
getting in the mode.
Right.
That's
We're gonna get
that's
this
my
in.
St. Patrick's Day persona.
Favorite time of year.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
in his mode. Tommy, what do we have tonight?
So tonight we Jeff Jensen came in, sat down with me and Joe Cronin. And we got to talk to him, and Jeff is a former US attorney here in St. Louis, and started out as an FBI agent and worked his way up, and then went to the US attorneys as an attorney, became the US attorney later, and worked on the General Flynn case where General Flynn was the charges were dropped on him, and then he also defended Kash Patel in the January 6th incident. So we talk about those a little bit, and then we talk about his career and about his relationship with us over the years. And yeah, it was a great interview. Appreciate it. He came in on his birthday.
All right.
Had to get running. Him and his wife were going out to dinner.
Oh, boy.
Good.
But he came in and then sat down with us, and we had a good time.
Good show. Good talk.
You know,
It
he
was
was,
a
he was
great
actually
time.
a very good basketball player.
Yes,
Gentlemen?
we did.
Mhm.
I did bring up the fact that he may have cheated in
He did.
the police Olympics. He admitted that he cheated.
He recruited FBI agents from all over the country to play in our police Olympics because
Uh,
he was tired of losing, which I thought I respected
You
him
just-
for that.
you just let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, he told me it was, he didn't
Oh,
say
no, he was not hiding anything. He
Yeah.
said, I definitely cheated.
All right. Well, that'll be a good show. That's going to be a good
Yeah,
show.
it's fun.
Producer John, Columbo's has daily lunch specials, but this is their time of year for another reason, and your time of year too.
Well, Monday is St. Patrick's Day, the most holy day of the year. It's the only day that it's cool to be a redhead, for the most part. Unless you're a gal, I guess it's cool every day.
Yeah.
For a redheaded guy, St. Patrick's Day is a good time. So the last 5 or 6 years, my son Matt and I, we hit the Dogtown Parade. Well, kind of the post parade, but we always make our way down here to Columbo's because they have, the Columbo's. They have the food, but they have the parking lots. There's a huge bar they built out there. There's porta potties everywhere, and there's music, and it's just fun. And this is where we usually end up. And for people who are like, if you're going to Uber home or whatever, take a cab. We're down here on Manchester, so you can just go across the street to that parking lot of the shopping center there, and the Uber can find you really easy in that. So we always end up here. It's kind of the highlight. We go through the rest of the Dogtown and the festivities, but make your way down here.
Hey, John, I'm working that day down here.
Days or afternoons?
No, I'm working days, 9 to 5, my whole unit. So if you need any help, you need transportation, whatever, anything you need, call me.
I appreciate that, JJ. And usually the golf cart ride is well.
Well, golf cart's better than a car.
Oh yeah, it's the only way you get around
Yeah,
this crowd.
Car is crazy.
This podcast we're taping tonight will be released at 6 a.m. on St. Patty's Day. So we're encouraging all our listeners to like, subscribe, and share. Listen to the podcast, and then come on down to Columbo's. We have a front row for the parade. It's right out here on Manchester. So
And they do proudly display on their chalkboard as you walk in the home of the Brighter Side of Blue podcast.
yeah, they do. Of course
Yep.
they do. Yeah.
You tell them, what do they get if they say they know?
Damn thing.
What should we give Greg?
32% off a meal and a bucket of beer.
Right, just tell them.
Brighter Side of Blue sent you.
Yep. Let's see how it might work. Never know.
That ain't work shit.
Greg, don't fire us.
Right.
Just do it. Tommy, we have some interesting things to talk about tonight. But one of the things, because like JJ always says, we are a police podcast. So state control is now a thing. Governor Keogh is going to sign. It's local control is a thing of the past. Tanisha just walked in. Tanisha, where you been? Peace.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
been a while.
It's been a while. She doesn't love us anymore. But anyway, the St. Louis City Police Department is going back to state control. Police commissioners.
Yes, it'll be very interesting. It's an uphill battle, no matter the facts. of who has control. You know, I do believe it will help morale.
Definitely.
Well,
helps
the
morale.
funny thing is, the younger policemen don't understand
Yeah, they don't know the difference
because they don't know the difference. They've never had state control. But all the older guys I talked to today, they are like on cloud 9.
Right.
But that's
Well, producer
is-
John's father was a police commissioner.
Right.
That's why we were employed for 20 plus years.
That's true.
Well, the thing is, the board is made up of businessmen,
Right.
and that's kind of key. They
And
know how to
wo-
run
and
a
women,
business.
Stakeholders.
businessmen and women.
And they live in this,
Yes.
and they live in this city. So
Yeah, they.
I think it's. I mean,
I think another important thing is that bill said that requires the city to spend at least 25% of their expenditures on the police department.
What is it now? What percentage are they at now?
2.
74.
No, it had to be an increase, so that's good. Well, it's going to be interesting to
good.
watch.
Well,
The transition is going to be
watch, and the change. I mean, the bar's set pretty low, so
Wow. Hey,
I'm just throwing. I mean,
JJ's still an active commander.
JJ
hey,
didn't
you know
say
what?
that.
I don't care.
command-
Mayday did not say that.
If they yell at me or get mad at me, I'll just retire tomorrow.
That's right. Take his guys with him because they'll be pissed off
And
too.
then-
I doubt
They'll go. I guarantee that Joe Speece will give him a job.
yeah,
That's true.
Yep, he's out there. You're going to hear from him in a minute.
Yeah.
He's got to settle a dispute. Mikey Mueller just walked.
Major
in, too.
Mueller just walked in.
We
Hey,
got-
we
we
just,
got Captain
just got
Mace
done
in the
talking
house. We
about
got Mueller.
My-
state control.
My boss
So-
just walked in. He wants to keep it quiet. He ain't gonna say shit about that.
Right.
Michael,
He ain't going.
my
on
brother
record.
right there.
Nice. You know, mixing.
That's my boss. Now be cool.
Hey,
He's kind of a dickhead sometimes.
JJ, bring it back in. Back in. Jesus, JJ.
Well, he's gotta make sure.
Hey, how about I've been doing lately? I've been watching all Gene Hackman movies. How about a guy, 95 years old, died 8 days after his wife died in the house?
I don't know any of that.
I don't
I
know
knew
if
he
that
died.
Was, that was your attempt at a setup, or you really did watch.
No,
like
I'm
the
watching.
Hoosiers
I was
and-
talking to JJ's brother Dick. He loves it. He's a Gene Hackman fan as well. So I
So
watched
Did you do this in honor of his?
in honor
death?
of his death. I mean, it just goes to show he was
Wait a
on
minute.
top of the world as a famous actor, but he died alone, and he was in the house alone for 8 days before he realized his wife was also dead in the house.
That's how do you know? They know that now. I have not followed it, but his wife died first.
His wife died like 8 days prior,
Why?
and he had she had a disease that comes from rodent excrements and such. They were recluses, so the house was in bad
Yeah,
shape.
No kidding.
There's no honor in the way he died.
But he was like 85 and she was 60,
He was
95.
95,
and she was
65,
Okay, I knew they.
and she died first, but it was a big house, and he died 8 days later, just wandering around. He had a bad Alzheimer,
Oh wow.
and
That's sad.
so anyway, I'm
That's pretty
watching
sad.
some of his movies now, and I'm getting great pleasure out of
He was great.
the Runaway Jury. Just watched. That was a very good movie. And
Did you do Hoosiers?
Who I was gonna say? Hoosiers.
I'm doing Hoosiers
We-
next, but the French Connection. He
Okay.
won. He
Great
won a Oscar for the French Connection.
He was
It
great.
was a police movie.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, and the person who originated Popeye's chicken, everybody thought it was Popeye's, like the Sailor Man.
Yeah,
He named it after Popeye Doyle. The
French Connection.
French
That's his name.
Connection.
Are you serious?
Wow.
Gene
look
Hackman
at-
did, or the
look
guy
at-
that owned
Gene
Popeye?
Hackman's
Yeah.
name was Popeye Doyle, and he
Popeye
worked.
Doyle.
Oh,
So that's
Uh,
why the chicken franchise named it Popeyes was after Popeye Doyle.
Holy cow!
No shit. That's my favorite fast food chicken place.
Mine too. Producer John comes on strong.
Wow, that was
yeah,
huge.
that's a
that was
that's a
That is
exciting.
unbelievable. You
That
think
was
you
awesome.
stumped John?
last minute.
If you guys didn't know, I was going to talk about Gene Hackman and all this,
No, that's
and then John
No.
comes on strong.
John's smart.
Just kind of
Popeye Doyle. He made some terrible mistakes in that movie, The French Connection. Listeners, we 100% told you we are the Flintstones, and so that transition was brought to you by the Flintstones.
Barney and them
Barney and we're on there. Producer John,
Yeah.
it wasn't your.
Yes.
It's not
No,
your fault,
because
Will.
he walked away.
Yeah,
He
you
gave-
walked
he-
away
He,
to get-
gave up his seat
Yeah.
like a trooper.
Wilma and Betty were hot.
They were cartoons.
You said that with such seriousness.
I know.
You want
We
to
were
agree?
little kids. I guarantee you thought the same thing.
Yeah.
No.
Might as well put an exclamation point on that. The way you looked
Yeah,
at it.
dude,
with
you
that.
were. That was creepy.
Fred and Barney outkicked their coverage on both.
Right.
Yeah, well, that-
Fred or Wilma and what was the other one? Wilma and
Wilma and Betty.
Betty. They did keep themselves in good shape.
They outkicked, I'm telling you, Fred Barney
Like
outkicked their
this.
coverage.
Yeah, they did.
What about Judy Jetson
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
good,
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
and Jane? If you like mature women, Jane.
What about Elroy?
That's a dog, right?
How long we?
Let's
All
keep
right,
going.
all right,
Let's
all
go.
right.
How about Scoopy?
We gotta stop.
Asper was a dog.
Scooby Doo.
Right, then
This
we're
is a
getting into-
police
what was it?
broadcast.
What were the gals' names in Scooby?
I don't know.
Thelma and Betty.
I don't think anybody that listens to this podcast even knows who that is. But go on.
No
Oh,
kidding.
They do.
No kidding.
Dude, there's a lot of Gen Xers listening to this show.
I want all our listeners worldwide, 57 countries, 75 million listeners, to, if they see a female law enforcement officer today, I want them to say Happy International Women's Win Day.
Yep.
Just give
That's
the
cool.
heads up.
All
They're
right,
out there.
women for
They're
that,
out there.
right?
That's odd. That's
Yeah,
nice.
they're out there winning for us, for our community.
Show day
happy.
off.
Good.
Tommy, I know you have some GFYs to hand out tonight.
Absolutely.
You have one.
I think we need to take this GFY and everybody needs to come to the show with one. Because there's a lot of people that need to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I mean there
I
are.
mean, there's just the list is so fucking.
There's a
big.
councilman. His last name begins with a Z, B-U-R, Z-B-U-R. He's a councilman out in Sacramento, and he has proposed a bill that would it would basically abolish self-defense, the right for you to defend yourself. So literally,
that makes
the
sense.
sheriff out there gets on there, and I like this sheriff. He says, so if you're with your wife and kids, and somebody comes up and wants to kidnap a kid or steal your purse or to take your car, your only option is to A, let them, or B, run away. So that
I just
What kind of
Councilman,
asinine shit is that?
yeah, Councilman Burr.
it's just
you
like
can
the
go fuck
gal at
yourself.
that Lisa Davis.
Who votes for these people?
Just like that gal we talked about the last show, that Lisa Davis.
Yeah,
that-
she's back in the news too.
Yeah.
The good news about both these bills is I'm heard they're heading straight to the gutter. They're not going to get
Well,
passed.
it just
Common sense. You
it
need
just
common
keeps these
sense.
people in the news for the wrong reason.
California has goofy laws on the books still. There's a law on the books right now that it is illegal in California for a woman to drive a car in a house coat. It's still on the books.
Well, I can see that.
So they have to drive naked.
Yeah, naked but you can't wear a house coat.
I don't condone the restriction, but I understand it.
But you know, back to Councilman Zabar or whatever his name is.
Isabur.
Isabur. If you know, if somebody attacks you, just say, "No, I was attacking him. He's the one that resisted."
good point.
Yeah,
Right.
they defended himself. So it's
It's kind of
Maybe
like
a
that
wash.
congresswoman that said that mentally ill people can attack policemen.
But not firemen.
But what if you attack the person and you just claim I was a mentally ill policeman? I plead. I plead.
What are they doing? What's their
It's
end goal
anarchy.
here? It is
Just saying.
anarchy.
I'm just saying.
It is anarchy. But you know,
complete anarchy. But you know who my GFY? I got a GFY.
go ahead.
His name is Mahmoud Khalil. And
Mahmoud Khalil.
He's the jerk off that starts all this that started all this shit in Columbia's
Columbia.
campus.
Yeah, on Columbia's campus.
Right. And he came from whatever country and he's a Hamas
Syria.
Hamas sympathizer. You know, down for, death to America. He's got propaganda going on. And I don't know, it appears that there's Americans involved in these things, in these protests that he's getting involved in everything. And they're running around with signs that say death to America and all. All those people. Khalil, every day, all day. The rest of them, at least once a day, can all go fuck themselves.
I agree. Pain.
Tommy sounded
You're
angry
right.
there, but
They
it's true. though.
protested
True.
today in front of Trump Plaza, right? They shut it down.
I don't care where they protest.
I'm just saying it's bullshit,
Right.
and they all cover
Right.
their faces like cowards.
And they
That's fucking
and they
bullshit.
come in and they make them friends with these Americans that have no fucking friends. They're fucking losers. And they sit around and they're like, yeah, let's go out and fucking rag hell, let's
We
go
need
out
to
and
get
rabble
to
roll.
this end really quickly.
We're not.
Oh,
we're not.
yeah, I'm just saying they all of them. And then they go, and then the police have to come there and restore order, and they yell at them like they done something
Yeah,
fucking wrong.
that's the
All
worst.
they want to do is go home to their fucking
100%.
kids.
Yeah.
All of these people go fuck yourself.
They're anti-police. Police.
Yeah.
All right.
JJ,
done.
do you have a GFY?
No, I don't.
Do you?
I
Have it down?
want
You
to
just doubling down.
double down on Tommy.
Yeah.
I hate that fucker too.
You doubling down.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
And the
got one.
protesters that go with it.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Jellyfish. You're walking down the beach, drunk, minding your own business. You step on a jellyfish. Next thing you know, somebody has to pee on your foot. It's just bullshit.
It's actually
is bull-
it's actually the jellyfish man of war
Yeah.
with the long tentacle.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a good one, dude. Because you know when they
Jellyfish
throw a
go fuck
flag up
themselves.
for those.
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
there's too
yeah,
many
yeah.
of 'em in there,
Yeah. You get a flag.
You
Yeah.
get a red flag.
Yeah.
You get a red
Don't go in
flag.
there because the jellyfish are in there.
Yeah, dangerous. Yeah.
Hey,
That's a tremendous one.
hey,
All
Producer
jellyfish.
John, we go way back. If you get bit by one, I'll pee on you because we go
Just
way
put-
back. I'm here to help, bro.
But you have to pee on the jellyfish.
While it's
wound.
on your leg.
You can't just pee on me
Timing.
randomly anywhere on my body. That'd be rude.
What's he come up with this shit, dude?
I don't have any idea.
So just parameters on
This is the part of the
But
show.
that's the guy that can go fuck himself, right?
I got you. This is the part of
Like
the show
that.
where I usually go to useless information, JJ.
Yeah.
But I'm
Got it.
transitioning tonight to I have several terrible or unusual laws that are currently on the books around the country.
Oh yes.
Oh,
I
this-
like
okay.
this shit. Come on.
But
You just rattled one off.
yeah. I just rattled. I that was a teaser.
It was a teaser,
That was a teaser.
but we didn't know it was coming though.
Yeah, you didn't know it's coming, but now you do know they're coming.
Here comes. That was like a
I
jab.
think JJ's gonna like some of these because
That
they
first
are.
one was a jab, and here comes the left hook.
These are truly bizarre. JJ, in the state of Louisiana, it is illegal to eat more than 3 sandwiches at a wake.
Wait.
At a wake.
this is state law.
State law. If you're at a wake, you cannot eat more than 3 sandwiches.
You know why?
Why?
Because they have that little room on the side where you go eat. They don't want people to like just suck it all up
And just
and then
but
not
you-
leave it for
but
anybody
really, the
else.
government had to get involved in that.
No, that's crazy.
But usually at our funerals, like the dollar roll kind of things.
It is, but you only get
Those are
3 of them.
small.
Yeah,
That's
you
3.
get 3.
How about just common decency just to take over?
Oh yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Or just kind of do the line.
That's
and
a weird. That's a
get
weird
the
one.
fuck out of
All
there.
right. That's a weird one. Go
In
ahead.
Alabama, it is illegal.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. In Alabama, it's illegal to wear a fake mustache to church and make people laugh.
That's a law.
It's a law. If you go in there with a fake mustache and somebody
Just
cracks
something
up,
wants to make me go to Alabama and put on a fake mustache.
and I'm going with you because I thought the exact same thing. I'm
Hey,
doing
man.
this. I'm doing this.
Does that
I want to
apply?
see what happens.
Does that apply to the preacher too?
If it's a fake mustache and people laugh, you're going down.
What do you think
That's
the
so
most
stupid.
fine would be?
Why-
If we could get enough people to Venmo us the money to take care of the fine, I'd go do it.
Yeah. Hey, I was
What
looking.
kind of
I was going to dress as Abe Lincoln for 25K.
Right.
You know, I'm in.
What?
And I'll put the
Yeah.
the glasses on with the mustache,
the whole kid
Right.
and caboodle.
Yeah.
and I'll wear I'll wear the helmet that has
Hey.
2 beers on each side with the straws going in.
When we
Make
go,
it a day.
when we go every year in Jones, Alabama, to hang out, my cousins, they got
Where?
a nice little church down there.
Do it.
We'll do it on a Sunday. We'll go down there.
With
Fake
Craig,
mustache.
with your cousin Craig.
Craig, he'd go. He'd wear.
Is that his church?
no? But
We
they-
might need some pull at this church.
they got pull. They every half the
But the
town.
key is somebody's gonna have to laugh.
Craig would laugh.
In Georgia, it is illegal to carry an ice cream cone in your back pocket. Now, I read this one, so I did more research on this one. John, do you have any idea why?
It's the Joe Biden rule.
What's that? Did he carry ice cream cones in his
He
back
loved
pocket?
ice
He loves ice cream cones.
No.
Still
So
does. I'm guessing.
This
Still
this
alive,
law
right?
drove me crazy because it's so stupid. But then I figured out why. It was back in the day when horse thieving was prevalent. And so what a horse thief would do would walk by a horse that they untied and stick an ice cream cone in your back pocket, and the horse would follow you nibbling on the ice cream cone, and you steal the horse.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
What if you put the ice cream cone in the front of your pants?
Well, then,
you gotta walk back.
then you fall in love.
The next thing you know, a week later, you're putting the ice cream cone in the horse's butt.
Holy shit, dude.
Gee, all right, we gotta wrap this up.
No, we don't.
We're
We got a
losing
lot more
Tommy.
to go. Oh shit!
Oh,
that
Oh
was
my God.
All right, yeah,
Yes.
but there was at least it made sense.
That does make sense.
Makes sense. In Florida, if you're an unmarried woman,
I heard this one before.
have you really?
Yes, go ahead.
In Florida, if you're an unmarried woman, you cannot fly a parachute in a parachute on Sundays. You knew that one?
I think you said this one before.
No, no way. Did I?
Oh, I would have remembered this one.
Yeah.
Go on. I
He
don't,
didn't say this one.
You cannot fly a parachute on Sundays on unmarried woman in Florida.
Unmarried, right?
Unmarried.
Just
You're
unmarried.
Single women
What?
cannot be flying around on parachutes on Sundays.
I think a lot of
It's
laws
simple.
been broken
And I
over
think
the
it's
years.
legit.
I know.
I don't want them flying around there like that on
Unmarried,
Sunday.
no
Unmarried
ring on their
thing.
finger.
Yeah, come on.
Fuck, you ring on
Stepping
their
out.
finger balances it all out.
Holy fuck.
JJ,
My God.
there's my useless laws that are still in the books. The only one that is the ice cream one that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
The one
Yes.
that disturbs me is you can't eat more than 3 sandwiches at a wake.
Yeah, that's
In Louisiana.
that's they got up.
We really have to get involved on that.
I don't think they should change the law. I just think they should up the sandwiches. 5 sandwiches. There's
With,
no
with
reason-
inflation,
there's no reason.
well, with inflation, a dollar sandwich now is like $25. So
$25 sandwich.
you get 20. You get to eat 25 sandwiches.
Oh, shit.
JJ, are you sitting on a Zen?
I
Come
am.
on now.
I am.
Oh yeah, that's right. We don't have Zen music anymore.
That's okay.
We will get it.
This is again
I hit
from
the
my
table.
brother Dick or Richard, who's here tonight.
Yes, he is.
It takes 2 years to learn to speak, and it takes 60 years to learn to keep quiet.
6.
So true.
And that was
That is
actually from-
perfect.
That's actually from a very famous author, Ernest Hemingway.
Ernest Hemingway. I went to his house down in Key West a
Okay.
couple weeks ago. Yeah, visit. He's got a cat with 6 toes.
He committed suicide. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
I got
The
4.
cat
He
committed
was, a spy.
suicide.
He was a spy. No, the cat.
Ernest.
No, Ernest.
Oh, Ernest. did.
I got 4 letters that could wrap that up in. STFU. Shut the
Shut the
fuck up.
fuck up.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's what that thing.
Oh,
said.
learn to keep quiet.
Yeah, just shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
Hopefully, you learn way before you turn 60.
I think I said this on another show, but one of my very, very, very successful buddies, we were out boozing or drinking or whatever, or eating, whatever we were doing. And I asked him, I said, what was the best advice you ever got? And he said it came from the guy that he had followed up in the business that he is now a vice president of. And he said that this guy told him, he says, Joe, never waste a good opportunity to shut the fuck up.
He must have been a fan of Ernest Hemingway.
Right.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
because he would have said that, right?
I
Right,
like it.
exactly.
All right.
I like
All
it.
right.
Very good one. Very good one.
Yeah. Dick comes through again.
Shut the fuck up.
Producer John, do you have a newsroom?
Hold on. Before we go to producer John, did you know
Oh,
that the St. Louis County has unveiled a new flag?
I did not.
You guys didn't know.
Is it the official new
Could-
flag?
Can this be my newsroom?
Yes.
Okay, this is my newsroom.
Because producer John's over there going, this is going
I,
on.
I spent an hour and a half writing this shit out today, and it's not even relevant to anything we've been talking about. So
We'll
But it
use
can be next week.
I'll read it next week.
All right,
It can be next week's. And then if you tell us what it's about, we can kind of
pimp it.
pimp it and then revolve what we're going to talk about to make it fit.
No,
your-
the listeners they sit at the edge of the couch waiting to find out what my newsroom is going to be. So,
We're not giving.
I don't want to give any spoilers.
I
That's
I
fair.
agree.
All right,
I
What do you
agree.
got,
So we're not
Tommy?
even going to pimp it.
let's go to the flag.
We're not pimping shit.
So Sam Page and the county, they decided that they need a new flag.
Yep.
And some young or some social media people, they made a nice video to it. And
It's kind of like a Fleur de Lis turned on its side.
Yes.
right, which now and if you are a listener, if you can watch, this is the time to pick up your phone or watch your computer.
This is
And,
what
this
they. This is a.
This is pretty funny stuff.
making fun of the new county
Right.
flag.
A
Yeah.
Fleur de Lis turned on its side like at 3:00.
Okay.
If you're listening,
Well,
I'll say that again. No, I won't.
yeah.
For those listening, it looks like a penis. We're going.
Move that. There you go.
Take a look at this radar.
What is it, son?
I don't know, sir, but it looks like a giant.
Dick!
Yeah.
Take a look out of starboard.
Oh my God! It looks like a huge.
Pecker!
Oh, where?
Wait, that's not a woodpecker. It looks like someone's.
Privates! We have reports of an unidentified flying object. It is
What
a
movie is
long,
this
smooth shaft,
Austin
complete
Powers.
with 2 balls.
What is that? That looks just like an enormous...
Wang, pay attention.
I was distracted by that enormous flying.
Willie. Yeah. What's that? Wow, it looks like a giant.
Johnson. Yes, sir. Get on the horn to British intelligence and let them.
That is
So-
classic.
That is a crazy.
Why would
like
you?
it.
I mean, nobody thought of that. And I get it; it's the Florida label, and
Unbelievable.
but it was a St. Louis guy on Facebook that put that out. So
Really?
we did steal that from.
So I
somebody.
haven't seen. Yeah, well, good job on that. I haven't seen that flag yet.
Kinda stole that.
I hope they reconsider it actually, but
They might after that video because
After
it
the
had
video,
like
they might.
70,000 likes.
Yeah, exactly.
Has
So-
it really?
So JJ, it's March Madness, March to Madness. It's March Madness season. It's NCAA
Right.
basketball. The brackets will come out. Actually, we'll know the brackets when this
Sunday.
is released.
Son,
So this is released Monday. We'll know. But Sugar Ford of St. Louis is also having a March to Madness.
yeah, they are.
They're having a tire special. You buy 3 tires, you get the 4th one for $1. That's from March 14th to the 19th at all locations. And then they have another special, JJ's favorite, from March 14th to the 22nd. At any location, you buy a new car, and you'll get a brand new flat screen TV that you get to keep.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And you can watch March Madness.
You can watch the March to Madness
And
on
give it
that.
back.
So Sugar Ford of St.
You
Louis.
don't have to give it back, Tom.
When you don't want to bicker about the price on the sticker, head on down to Schicker where you'll get a better deal quicker.
Quicker.
Okay.
And call the mobile van too if you have a car problem.
The mobile van. Pat Welch is in the crowd tonight. He was going to call the mobile van to help out with a commercial vehicle.
Then when you get in that checker van or checker vehicle that you buy,
Yeah.
you're feeling good, right?
Yeah.
Now you're gonna go start looking good.
Drive that thing to
Prime performance.
prime performance.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to drive down there, you can see what they got on primeperformancestl.com. Rediscover your prime with testosterone therapy, hormone therapy, vitamin injection, medical weight loss, IV therapy, peptides. They are located at 122 Central Park Drive in O'Fallon and 44 Fenton Drive in Fenton.
That's O'Fallon, Illinois.
Illinois.
Fallon, Illinois.
Go to
All right.
Illinois. Don't go to O'Fallon.
There you go.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then when you leave there, you're going to feel good too. You're going to have some
Yeah.
kind of
And
time.
I actually ran into Jim Worm this past Saturday morning, or about noon.
Yep.
He came to watch my nephew play soccer, Michael. So yeah, he's very happy with us. He says it's really starting to grow, his company,
all because of us.
because of us.
Yes.
Well, that's what
it only makes sense.
That's what Campbell Security Group says. I mean,
And then when you get
they're
big
going
like that,
crazy.
and then you got this big old business.
It is.
You call Campbell Security.
Campbell Security.
JJ's sporting his stuff.
It-
What's that say, Danny? I can't read that far.
Security and services. Security for group service. Group. I can't read it.
It's a good.
It says
I love the
Campbell
t-shirt.
Campbell Security.
Good try,
Group.
guys.
Did you see
And
that?
Danny can't read.
Well,
And all good.
his chest doesn't fill the shirt out.
Right.
Well, it does. And actually, he gave me a pair of socks that I love them. They're the best. They have the little same logo
How
on
come
them.
you get all the stuff?
I don't know how
Right.
I work for him.
Exactly.
Oh,
I'm on his.
CampbellSecurityGroup.com.
Do those
Get a
socks
hold
make
of
you feel
Campbell.
secure?
I do.
You get a
Put
hold of
them on,
Corey.
I feel stronger and better. It's
oh
great.
my goodness.
And then if you need some business cards or whatever you
Marvel
need printing
Printing.
up, Marvel Printing, you know damn well you can go there. 1928 South Broadway, phone number 314-231-1477, marvelprinting.com. Mark Colombini and his crew will take care of all of your
What
printing
about-
needs.
What are our cigars?
Yep.
Actually, I think I'm going to head that way after we get off.
Dan,
The Parker
Dan
brothers.
is the man with the cigar bands,
I love
with
it.
the plan.
I want to bring
Stan.
my brother, another jingle.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, you know where he's at? 8984 Watson Road, Crestwood.
West Missouri.
You know what used to be there? The ground round.
Oh,
The ground.
Remember where the ground round was on Watson Road?
Oh, so
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the place where you have peanuts and you just
Yes,
throw them on
just
the
throw
floor.
that shit on the ground.
Yeah, I like that.
That's right in that area right there. That's where Dan's at.
Nice.
Then you can. I don't think he'll let you throw peanuts on his place, but you can get some good cigars and then go outside and throw peanuts outside.
Producer John, before we go, do you have a Paige Spears update?
Yes.
Yeah, I talked to his brother Steve. They're buying him clothes to take to the facility, so he has some some duds, to change into.
Style.
He gets out Monday, and he's coming home and moving
That's
in with his
awesome.
mom in Florissant. So, we've had all these like 2 week delays and whatever. It looks like it's real for Monday, the day that it comes out.
Your favorite day.
St. Patty's Day. So we don't know
Maybe
anything about a
maybe
release.
a coincidence of there.
And then is he coming on next
There's
Thursday?
no coincidence.
I haven't confirmed that yet, but that's the plan.
Okay, that'd be interesting.
Awesome, dude. That's
Yes, we're going to do some nice stuff with Paige, and we look
That'd
forward
be
to that.
awesome. Let's see. Yeah,
We look forward to that.
Really look forward to that. Thank you for the
Yeah.
governor for doing that, and this and that.
And thank you to producer John.
Yeah.
How
Oh
about
yeah.
that
You
one?
started
That's a
this
good
whole
one.
mess. Yeah.
Would you call yourself pen pals or like cell
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 pals?
phone pals.
Sell.
Like
That
cell
could be
phone.
prison.
Yeah. You don't want to say.
So-
yeah,
I don't ever want to be in a cell with Paige or anybody.
I'm just talking
Yeah,
about the phone.
true.
fool.
I know.
Phone pal.
No, he's just he's a good guy. I'm anxious
Looking forward to
I
it.
can't
I'm
wait to
anxious
meet him.
in
Yeah, in
So
person.
next Thursday might be the first time you guys meet together in person because of the conflict that we got with St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
That'll
Yeah.
Wow.
be neat. We'll get it, and if that's the case, we'll get it on film, and we look forward to that.
Yep.
That'll be
Yep.
neat.
Sounds good.
I think
Cool.
JJ might even cry. What do you think, JJ? You might shed a
The
tear.
older I get, the more sentimental I get.
I
Oh,
know,
me
yeah.
too. Why is that?
So I don't know.
Tommy, what about our communities?
They're a lot safer when they support the police. You know that? Communities that support the police are much safer places to live.
I heard that.
Hey. We got Joe Cronin with us and Jeff Jensen, a longtime friend of mine. We met early on in our careers, and while he was at the U.S. Attorney's office, and I was a detective working for John Frank, and we'll tell a story about that later. But welcome to the show, Jeff, and it is Jeff's birthday. Happy birthday!
Right. Happy birthday! Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you for
having
stopping
me.
by on your birthday.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. You guys, I listened to it. The guests are amazing. It's humbling to come after a Harry Hager or some of the people you've had on. It's just shocking how great they are.
Well, and we appreciate all the support we get from people like you to come on the show, especially on your birthday. Shout out to Jeff's wife for letting him come on the show before his birthday. And then when I was talking to Joe Cronin about, hey, Jeff Jensen's going to come on, and I said, when Jeff was a U.S. attorney, he worked on the Michael Flynn case, and Joe is big into the Michael Flynn case, so he's like, oh, that'll be
maybe
perfect.
not as big as Jeff, but
and we'll talk about that later. But first, we want to get into Jeff's career, and then. But I want to lead off with Joe. We've been missing our Federal Fridays, and there's a reason. And Joe, can you tell everybody why we haven't been doing the normal Federal Fridays at a regular pace?
sure, we'll try. So Jack and I, we talked a little bit about the BMF stuff.
That's Jack Riley.
Jack Riley on the other Federal Fridays, the director of DEA for a few years. We were up here pimping his job for Trump not too long ago. But Jack and I have been messing around with a book and some other stuff for about 6 years now. We have two separate production companies. One that we were introduced on the show here, and then some friends of mine up in Chicago kind of pushed it.
Brighter Side of Blue's got shit going on.
Brighter Side of Blue, correct. But that was with 50 Cent and his production company on a docudrama associated with the third season of the BMF.
Which ain't happening.
Which I heard, unfortunately, that Big Meech gets out of jail, and I guess a couple million wasn't enough. I don't know.
Everybody beefing now.
So they're all beefing, and I think what we did with them is not going to get aired or not going to get made. So that kind of sucks, but we'll keep you in the loop on that one.
We'll pick that up, though.
But the one that has got some legs is it's called Americana PD, Law and Order in the Heartland. And it is associated with the goodness and the good sides of law enforcement, but not just the police. The support staff, the administrative staff, the dispatchers, the community, the diversity, the chiefs, the characters, and the families. So you're going to get a different look than just a cops type look if it gets made. But we have money to do looking good. We have money to do a sizzle reel. It'll be in the St. Louis metropolitan area. I just can't tell you what department or departments. And I think if it goes, we're all going to be pretty good. We'll all be pretty happy.
We tried to get the St. Louis Police Department involved, but we contacted somebody. They're like, "Are you really? You think this will go smoothly?" And Joe quickly moved on to another department. But to get to Jeff was started out as an FBI agent.
Yep.
And then went from an FBI agent. He got his law degree while he was an FBI agent, and then went to the U.S. Attorney's office, where he met yours truly.
That's right.
And then he
Early
went from
on.
the U.S. Attorney's office to private practice with Catherine Hanaway and his buddy Matt Shelp. And then he went back to the U.S. Attorney's office as the U.S. Attorney. So what a career, and now you're back into the private life, correct?
Back trying to make money again.
What
right.
law firm are you with now?
It's called Toradon is the name of the law firm. It's small, maybe 20, 25 lawyers with Bill Barr runs it with a guy named Pat Cipollone, who was White House counsel for President Trump and was lead counsel on the first impeachment case. So,
and real quick, one of the things we talked about when I talked about bringing you on, and I just think and obviously it's topical right now, but your relationship that you had with Kash Patel over the years.
Yeah.
When you were
right.
U.S. Attorney, and we'll get back to some other stories,
Right.
but I thought that was a very interesting story.
I actually met him after I was U.S. Attorney. I represented him before the January 6th committee. So I don't know, his whole life. I know what he did on January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th of 2021 really well. And I can tell you, if that's the snapshot, he was very honorable during that. He was trying to do everything he could to get help, to get National Guard, and was just kind of shut down.
What was his job at the time?
I think he was number 2 at the Department of Defense, maybe number 3.
Okay.
I don't remember the title, but yeah, I know he's got a job in front of him trying to, change the FBI. I mean, the good thing, Kash is a change agent, and I personally think that's what they need at the top. I don't mean on the street. The men and women that are out there doing the cases have been, are, always will be great. But I think at the top, they need quite a bit of change, and I think he'll do it.
Well, and we'll get into the Michael the General Flynn case later. But one of the things that I noticed when talking to you at the beginning of that is that your investigation in that, and you couldn't talk about nothing. We were just friends,
Right,
so
right.
I called you. As soon as I see
Right.
your name in the paper, Tommy being Tommy, I got to call and find out what the scoop is. And obviously, you were not willing to tell somebody like me what the scoop was.
Yeah.
But you were very, very, very disappointed in the FBI at the time.
I was, and at high levels in the FBI, and I don't mean Chris Wray, but not too far from that.
Right.
There were some. I was really disappointed. So General Barr appointed me to review the FBI's investigation of Michael Flynn. So we had a team of people. They asked, how many agents do you need from D.C. or the Washington field office? And I said, really, none. I think I'll go with the people I've been working with my whole life. So I picked some agents from here that were really good, some good AUSAs. We went through all the records, interviewed people, and kind of the end of the story is I thought there was improper things going on at the top of the FBI, like not turning over exculpatory evidence. That's a big one. They kind of pressured Flynn through his son. I mean, mostly it's a kind of case that wouldn't get prosecuted if it were just a normal person.
Right.
And they went and all around protocols by interviewing him at the White House without giving DOJ a heads up. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of things they did. So eventually I recommended to General Barr they dismiss it, and they did, and that ended up being in a big court fight that went back and forth in the Court of Appeals. And then eventually President Trump just pardoned him.
But Joe, you had a lead up that you thought might be coming into this.
We talked about it a little bit before, so we'll dance around a little bit. But my question with some of the stuff you just asked was, the thing that's fascinating to me is the.
I'm going to interrupt right now. We're going into the Flynn case now, by the way. And we'll talk about the other stuff later.
The thing that fascinates me about it as well is that initial interview. That first initial interview when McCabe calls and sets it up to have the agents come and interview General Flynn about some pretty damaging things they already knew or didn't know about it, and kind of led him down a path to talk about it when he believed it was a non-entity. It wasn't anything. He thought it was just something that they were trying to discuss about the transition and maybe some conversations with the Russian ambassador at the time. So my question about that is, what was if you can say, what was the motive behind the initial interview?
My guess is they were trying to work their way up to President Trump. But the thing is, so they interviewed him about a conversation he had with Ambassador Kislyak, the Russian ambassador, and they had recorded the conversation, which is now declassified. But they're interviewing him about a conversation he had when they literally have the conversation. They already know what was said, and their notes reflected, what's our goal here? Are we trying to get to the truth, or are we trying to get him to make a false statement so we can get him prosecuted or fired? Something along those lines. So, that's indicia, I think, of what the motive was. And again, it's just you don't see cases prosecuted for false statements unless there's an underlying crime. Like sometimes there's an underlying crime that you can't, for whatever reason, you can't prosecute it. So then you can prosecute the false statement, or someone makes a false statement for some sort of gain, like to get a loan or to get someone's money, whatever it is, or to get money for themselves from the government. Those kinds of things happen where there's a gain. But just having a plain false statement when you already know what the truth was, with again, not turning over exculpatory evidence and all these other things, it shouldn't have been prosecuted, I don't think.
Like even in a drug case, when Tommy and I worked together for the DEA, even in a drug case, if we had a tape of what you already said and tried to trip you up, you guys, the U.S. attorneys would throw that case out immediately on that level. So we talked a little bit about this, and I'll make sure I'm brief. But one of the things in my conspiratorial mind, because we on Federal Fridays, we love conspiracies, and we kind of make some things up. Well, we don't make them up. We kind of talk about some things.
It's logical reasoning.
Logical reasoning. Right. So back in the day when Flynn worked for Obama, he was appointed by Obama to be the director of intelligence for at the Pentagon, if I remember correctly, and that was in 2012. So in 2012. Right off the bat, in September of 2012, he gets hit with Benghazi. And at the time in Benghazi, there was all kinds of subterfuge about different things that were going on between the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton at the time, and Barack Obama, and trying to overthrow Muammar Gaddafi months before, which he was, and maybe some weapons deals, which may or may not have happened. And Flynn allegedly knew about it and put himself as a mark to the Obama administration. He didn't last long in that position. And my theory, if you trace it back to some of the other people that were associated in the intelligence community, Vickers, Clapper, some of the same names that come up down the road with Crossfire Hurricane, same type of information, in my opinion, they may have been a little nervous about what he knew or what he didn't know, and came at him pretty hard.
He is in General Flynn.
Absolutely, but not only do that, but to take Trump's knees out right off the gate. I mean, Comey went to Trump on the day he was elected, or the second day he was elected at Trump Towers, and hit him up with a private briefing on when the FBI came at him with the unclassified briefing, and then the nasty little nuances about some of the alleged women and stuff, which turned out to be all false and manufactured. So in your investigation, was there anything that came out associated with any of that?
None of that.
Okay.
I wasn't involved in that at all. So I just know it's in the the news.
Okay. So when Flynn was approached, what is 22 days, right? He was the 24th
something like that.
National NSA director, right. 24th, 22nd, and he only lasted 22 days. He's the shortest ranking member of that cabinet position. But when he was approached, did they tell him right off the bat that we got you, or did they leave and come back? Or
no, they left without correcting the record, and so they let him. I'm not even sure I wouldn't even call them really false statements. It was more, sometimes you say you don't remember something and they think maybe you should have remembered it, or something might be a little bit off. Well, he's new in the job. He's on the phone all day, working the world, essentially.
So when they did that, in your opinion, would that be something, if you're looking for criminal evidence against him, you know that that's what you're looking for, wouldn't that be something that they would Mirandize him?
No, they wouldn't have to, because he's not in custody.
He's not in
so
custody.
They wouldn't have to Mirandize him. But
would that be because he's in his own environment?
Right.
Because he is surrounded by two agents.
Free to leave.
Free to leave.
Free to leave. So they didn't have to Mirandize him, but there's long-standing protocol that if DOJ is going to go try to interview somebody at the White House, that you give the White House notice.
Okay.
And that didn't happen. And then again, this stuff with his son, that's just pressure that I didn't think was appropriate.
Now, I was also, one of the things that I read in researching that case is that they didn't give up the original 302.
No, they did. Yeah,
did they?
Yeah, we had the 302. Well, no, you're right. For what I saw it, but I think it might not have been given to the court. And the unique thing was, and let me kind of say, just to be clear, when backing up to his son, the idea was essentially we wouldn't prosecute your son if you plead guilty. So that's a lot of pressure, right? That's something.
Right.
I'd plead guilty if I didn't do anything.
Right.
But in that case, the son didn't do anything wrong. I mean, you see that move frequently by prosecutors, and there's nothing. Sometimes you'll have two drug dealers who are married, and you basically make a deal that one of them's going to stay with the kids, the other one's going to have to go to prison, and
right.
That's
you
the
guys
deal.
figure it out.
But they're
right.
both guilty.
Right.
That's the difference. Is
right.
they're both guilty. So that was the
no, and that is a tactic, and I will say this, and working, and I think all of us can attest to this, is that if when you threaten to lock other people up to intimidate somebody
right.
or to coerce, that other person that we are in, that, like you said, a husband
right.
and a wife, the other person is involved in the case.
Right, they did
you just
something
don't
wrong.
pull somebody out
Right.
of the blue and say we're going to lock that person
yeah.
up too.
And then it's not we'll prosecute your family member if you don't plead guilty. It's more like, well, we'll agree to close the case if you plead guilty, sort of thing. Which again, not inappropriate, assuming that they're both guilty of criminal conduct. But that's just my view of it.
Didn't they charge him with, and I may not have it exactly right, but knowingly and willfully lying to the FBI? So trying to show intent, and there is no intent.
I don't think he had intent to mislead them at all, and they charge him with false statement. Needs to be a knowing false statement. Yeah,
knowing and willingly.
Right.
So the part about his sons, I mean, we talk about that. Oh, and just correct the record a little bit. So they talked about a 302. So there's all kinds of different forms. So a 302 is a report
right.
of the
right.
information associated with the interview, and in DEA they call it a DEA 6. So I don't know why they don't have different
There would be
forms.
something in the FBI that I would not want to deal with.
You never did them in our group, that's for sure.
You were so good on report writing.
I know. That'll come up later. I'm very good with reports.
It doesn't matter what you call it. Tom would not turn it in.
So were you involved in any of the subsequent interviews, or I guess you could call them proffers, before he agreed to cooperate? They came in and they interviewed him again on other things, most likely about Donald Trump and the administration. Are you aware of any of that?
I was all after the fact.
All after the fact.
I came in after he had pled guilty, and I think that was part of the criticism of me was, if a person's pled guilty, then they obviously admitted their guilt. So, why try to dismiss the case after that point? In my view, you have to get to the guilty plea by turning over exculpatory evidence, and this in criminal law, the prosecutor has a different burden. You're not trying to win; you're trying to get justice, and it's required that you turn over exculpatory evidence. There are some exceptions when people plead guilty, but this particular judge had a rule that at any time during the case you had to turn over exculpatory evidence. So then I recommended it be dismissed after he had pled, but I've done that a lot. I mean, I've done that in St. Louis, 30, 40, 50 times.
Okay.
Maybe not after pled, but after either decline a case or after the indictment, or sometimes after the person's in prison. If you find out that the police didn't do it right, and that happened. I mean, some of the cases we did in St. Louis, you had the situation where one officer, like when the officer does something wrong, and then you get up on their phones or get up on their text messages, and you start to learn a lot about other officers in that process. So if you then see something that makes you doubt an earlier conviction, then it's your job as a prosecutor to go fix that.
So why did they come after him for the alleged not registering as a foreign agent? Was that just more?
I don't know. I don't know what their motivation was for that.
When they came after him for that,
I got an idea.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, when they come after him for that, I think it's important, because everybody, if you've just watched the last 4 years, one of the biggest things the special counsel went after Hunter Biden for was not registered as a foreign agent, in the tune of about $19 or $20 million. So in Flynn's case, it was around 500,000 to the Turkish government or connected to the Turkish government in Erdogan, and another 30 or 40,000 where he actually sat right next to Vladimir Putin at a service that he gave for a TV station up there like CNN. So very interesting. And I thought it somewhat rich that they investigated it back then, but they didn't do it. And it's the same members in the FBI, is it not?
Well, yeah, a lot of the same
leadership.
people involved, yes, and a number of the sort of controversial cases are a number. And another problem I felt I thought it was a problem was the law firm that recommended them in that Farah case. My memory's right, so hopefully my memory's right. They were the ones who handled the disclosures to the government. And,
Okay.
and the problem was whether or not those disclosures were accurate.
Okay.
And he felt as though he disclosed things accurately to his lawyers, so if there was a mistake there, then it's not his mistake. Well, then the same lawyers were representing him on the false statement case. So,
Okay.
so you could see where they have a self-interest
Sure.
in having him plead to B and not A. So there were a number of problems with it. It just needed to go.
So my big thing, and Jeff is a brilliant lawyer, and I remember him when we were here back in the day when I was a young agent as well, and I was going to try and pin him down on all kinds of information about conspiracy theories and Obama hating him and all this political stuff, which I still believe to be true, but the professionalism that they had a job to do, and it wasn't to go back and research all those political conspiracy theories, but to take a man that was wrongly accused, I believe as well, and they destroyed his life and they destroyed his family, and they took away his being to serve his family and his country, and over what I believe to be political issues, but obviously that doesn't come out. And if you can research it, Michael Flynn had a very rocky relationship with the intelligence community, especially when they moved him out of Afghanistan and Iraq. He was brilliant. I think it was McCraven, right? It was McChrystal. It was McChrystal and
McLovin.
McLovin and Michael Flynn that came up with. We were getting our asses kicked in Iraq on how to deal with a terrorist organization that wasn't just, they were working with each other against us. So they had all these freedom fighters coming in, and this guy was brilliant. And if you follow his career, to see them take him down at the knees like that, it's sickening to me. It's absolutely sickening.
Well,
So-
actually, I think you got that fit. When I thought, like I said, you wouldn't give me the information at the time.
Right.
And I don't blame you.
I would think it should have been dismissed. I think it was treated wrongly. But at the time I was given the assignment, I didn't care one way or the other. I was planning on leaving the U.S. Attorney's office anyway. And now it turns out President Biden won, so you get asked to resign or you quit or you get fired, one or the other. But I was on my way out anyway, so it didn't matter to me if Michael Flynn did many years in prison or no time in prison or had a conviction or didn't have. I didn't care. You just have to do it right.
Right.
That's the whole thing.
Which is wonderful.
I wasn't invested in him in any way. I didn't care at all. I just wanted the truth to come out and for justice to be done.
And one of the things over the years is that you were never involved in politics. You went to the FBI Academy, then you went to the U.S. Attorney's office, and that, for the most part, there's not politics. As an AUSA,
That's an easy job.
As an AUSA, as an assistant United States attorney, politics does play a part in but as an AUSA, it doesn't really affect you. You just do what they tell you to do.
Yeah, right.
And it doesn't affect you. But then when you go to that U.S. Attorney's job, and it was towards the end, and me and you would talk frequently during the whole time, but towards the end, you could tell you were about fed up.
I was wearing out.
Well, you were ready to go.
That's an easy job, I think, being U.S. Attorney, because the office is so good. I mean, that office is really fantastic. You guys have worked with all those AUSAs. I mean, they're
talk about them all the time.
Phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
They're unbelievable. So that's pretty easy to lead. But the hard parts were Kim Gardner. They weren't doing hardly anything in the circuit attorney's office. So we doubled or tripled the prosecutions in the city because they just wouldn't do it.
Right.
I mean, every now and then, but for the most part, we had to almost become the circuit attorney's office except for you needed a federal crime.
Everybody was looking for that one reason that let's just take it to the feds. Let's take it to the
Right.
feds. Let's take it to the
And
feds.
I'm sure this made Kim Gardner mad. Actually, Chief Hayden used to kid me about it. I said at ComStat one day, and I said, look, we're proud to work with you guys. We want your cases. If you see anything federal, please bring them to us. We'll do them, period. And because it had to be. They just weren't doing it.
Well, I think another thing that I remember talking about you at lunch one time was your affiliation with the Confluence Academy, which is about rehabilitation, and I think you were getting behind that at one point. I remember you being very, very vocal about that.
Yeah, I was trying to support them any way I could. I mean, so the federal system is really good. The recidivism rate, and I had nothing to do with it. It's the probation office and the judges, is less than 10%. I mean, that's amazing. When you think of national stats of 70%, they have lower than 10% recidivism because it's the whole approach. It's you come out with a job, you don't go back to your old neighborhood, you get drug treatment, you get housing. It's the holistic approach that worked. And mainly they give these guys respect. And that makes a big difference. Where people coming out of the state system they don't have that going on. So Confluence was, I thought, sort of a state version of the federal probation office, and I think they're wonderful.
Right. And the other question I had so you get the U.S. Attorney's job with the Eastern District of Missouri. How do you get, what's the phone call you get that says, hey, dude, we got this General Flynn case going on, and we'd like you to get involved. How does that phone call go, and do you have the option to decline that?
It wasn't the general who called. It was one of someone else, and they asked if I'd be willing to do it, and I said, actually, I think I'm pretty good for it because I don't care. Like I said before, what the answer is. I just want it to be the truth. And they said, okay, well, if you think you're not the right person for the job, because I was a former FBI agent and a U.S. attorney, just a weird combination.
Right.
They said, if you think you're not the right person for the job, you can tell us why, and we will listen to you for a very short period of time.
And then make you do it anyway.
Now, did you have a relationship with General Barr before that, and of any sort?
Not a close one. I was under General Sessions. I was on what's called the Attorney General's Advisory Committee. So it's about 15 from each judicial circuit. One U.S. attorney represents those U.S. attorneys in that area. And I'd go back every maybe 6 weeks or so and meet for a couple of days. And then I did that for a little bit into General Barr's tenure. And then after that, not a whole lot of interaction until that Flynn thing came up.
When that goes down, are you flying to D.C. a lot? But you said you use a lot of your St. Louis connections to help work on that case.
Right.
Or are you guys working on that case from St. Louis?
Both. I mean, we're back and forth. I probably had 2 agents and I think 7 or 8 AUSAs.
Oh, wow.
And we'd go back and forth.
And I was talking to one of the administrative people that listen to our show, and she was involved in that. And she goes, what an interesting, because you guys had the floor on them. She said, we had a certain floor.
Yeah,
so it was a skiff floor,
right,
and
right.
You had the triple secret clearance.
And no food. I mean, it was COVID. I mean, it was right in the middle of COVID. Everything was closed. All the restaurants were closed. I was eating egg salad sandwiches out of CVS every night.
Oh,
no!
That was it.
Brutal. You couldn't find a restaurant.
Damn.
Well, Jeff, Tommy obviously didn't tell you, but when you got picked for the investigation, and I remember you when we were here I was younger, and I said, would you please call him and tell him that I want to help on this? So obviously I didn't get picked, and that's not. Thanks, Tom.
I'm still kind of pissed off that Jeff wouldn't tell me the intricacies of the case, so that because he should have trusted me, and I wouldn't tell nobody.
Yeah, no, I ain't
gonna tell nobody.
You wouldn't tell anybody until you got the Columbos.
Can I ask you a question about? I'm fascinated about the United States Attorney's Office. I think you are 1,000% right. I worked kind of all over the world, and the best attorneys I've ever worked with were here.
They're amazing.
They really would take a phone call all hours of the night. They'll help you write. Judges the same way. This place right here is a dream.
I'm telling you.
It's New York is a very, very close second. The Southern District of New York, but this place is great. So. When you were asked to be the U.S. attorney, kind of how did that go?
Well, the process back then, every attorney general, every president does how they want to. Back then, the process was they wanted the senior senator So of the party in the White House, here that was Senator Blunt, to send in 3 names.
Okay.
So then they would send in 3 names to the Attorney General, and then go back and interview with them, and they make the final call.
Very nice.
So under this administration, some of them are sending in multiple names. Some of them are just sending in 1 name. And sometimes the White House, I think, is pulling people. It's not as uniform this time, but I'm sure they're going to get a bunch of really good people. We have four open judgeships here, which is really rare. Out of I think there are 8 active judge spots, so 4 of them right now they're half full.
And I know there's several former U.S. attorneys that are up for those judgeships, and hopefully they get them.
Yeah, there's some great.
Don't want to name anybody to jinx them. Those attorneys, those U.S. attorneys that are up for those jobs. Like I said, I don't want to jinx anybody, but we got a pretty good record going here on them. Oh, well, actually, we don't, because you were actually a candidate for the FBI spot when it first came out. You were in the paper, and I called you right away.
For the director thing?
For the director of the FBI instead of Ken. I said, you in? And you were not down with it at the time.
Yeah, I don't know
back.
if they would have wanted me or not, but I'm glad they found Kash Patel. I mean,
right.
So, and I think, I mean, they didn't ask, so it wasn't offered. It was just.
But it was in the paper.
It was reported a lot in the paper.
It was reported in the paper.
I was getting calls, but none from the White House. But I think they got it. They have a change agent. They need a change agent, so that's all good. I probably would have needed a divorce.
I can tell you from a layman's person, I probably flew a lot less class than you did, even though you're not supposed to fly nice class. But it does. It wears on you.
Sure.
And those flights back and forth to St. Louis, and it'll eat your family up. It was hard.
But now we're going to go back to some of the earlier days. Real quick. Jeff was responsible for almost getting my ears ripped. I guess it was my fault in general. But Jeff almost got my ears ripped off, and it was the Clifford Cole case. And when I told Jeff we're going to talk about the Clifford Cole case, he's like, who is Clifford Cole? And I said, that was that case I brought you down there. And I forgot a couple things.
I don't remember the case, but I remember it being very hard to get a police report out of you. That's what I remember. I don't know how many phone calls,
so
emails.
He said, or you was leaving voicemails.
He was ready to plead, I think. Right,
and sending emails. And a lot of that stuff just didn't. All right, we'll get to it. Well, this guy wanted a speedy trial. I mean, like a speedy trial.
I think that's in the Constitution. I think that's his right.
But what happened is Jeff wrote a tight complaint to get him locked down. I mean, I sat down with Jeff the day after the incident and said, this is what happened. He's on the computer, and the complaint is when you go before the federal government, you complain to them and you get them, indicted. So I'm just rattling off the case of Jeff out of the top of my head. This is what happened. This is what happened. He's on the thing. He's typing away. He's like, all right. He types it up, and bam, he's locked up. And he wants to plead guilty like within a week. I don't write reports within a week. We had evidence all over the place. I was like, I'll get to it.
And the defense lawyer, righteously saying he wants to plead, but I got to at least see the police report, right? And I said, okay, yeah, I'll get that right to you. Call Tom.
And we had just met, so we're not like tight to where Jeff can call me and go, listen, MFer, I need this. So he decided, he's asking around the U.S. attorneys, oh yeah, sorry. He said, yeah, he may want to call his boss real quick. He ain't gonna get mad. But he does need every once in a while he needs a little reminder. So he gets a hold of John and leaves producer John a message saying, hey man, I've been talking to this Sawyer and I'm trying to get this report. The guy wants to plea. I just need a report. And then that's when John rifled off the famous email of, I hope this email finds you in good health and fine standing. If you do not refer to the below complaint number, and if that is not in by the end of the day, I will rip your ears off.
Well, thank you, John.
How that went down.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Yeah, and I was getting ready to do it, and Tom would have been good if he was a Siamese twin when they hired him.
Oh yeah.
One guy could write the reports, and the other guy could lock the guy up.
Well, he was, so years later, obviously he's working with me, and it's the same thing all over again, so he never learned. But I think it's fair to say Tom's a prolific writer. He's an excellent writer. He's excellent at math.
How do you know? Because he never wrote.
Every once in a while,
when I did write, I would sit down and write every once in a while.
Threaten that ear thing off, and it would go well.
ADHD was a bitch back in the day.
Yeah.
The other one that we worked, Jeff, is when Jeff went to the private side.
Oh yeah.
And Jeff and had a couple partners, and one of your partners called me for a midnight run. You remember that one?
Yeah. Oh, I do. You had to move a large amount of money.
So what had happened was, so it was in January. Obviously, it was the first week of the football playoffs, and I got a call from his partner, who's now a judge. We'll leave his name out of it, and he says, "Hey, I got this client, and this client got locked up in Atlanta coming off a plane, and they had some, synthetic marijuana, maybe some Oxycontin or whatever it was. But whatever it was enough to get him locked up, and it was him and his husband, or it was him and his wife. And he calls me noon on a Saturday. He says, "Hey, I got a strange request." And I said, "What's that?" He goes, "I got a client, got locked up coming off a plane, international plane in Atlanta, got locked up. And it wasn't that much dope. It was personal use stuff. Got locked up nonetheless, and had a $35,000 bond. And was there on a Saturday, and they wanted to be bonded out now. They had the money. They were good for it, but it's hard to come up with $35,000 from your people in a short period of time. So I spend a Saturday, me and your partner spend a Saturday of going around collecting this money. 5,000 here, 2,000 there, 4,000 there.
I hope we got paid.
We're like dope men the whole day, meeting on parking lots, taking little bags. So we get all this money, and me and Gabe Keithley, God love him. I call him. We're PIs we're doing a PI thing at the time, and I said, "You want to do this?" He goes, "Let's go." So this Saturday, by the time we get the money, it's like 3 or 4 o'clock on a Saturday. Get the $35,000. We got it in a duffel bag. We're going to shoot up to Atlanta, bond them out. Well, when we get to Atlanta, it's 2 a.m. And we're in the holdover of the Atlanta PD, not some federal institution.
Right.
So you can imagine at 2 a.m., the employees that are working at a holdover facility. And we got to count out $35,000 in 20s, 10s, 100s. It was in all kinds. Nobody just went to the bank and got a bunch of hundreds. This was in a bale of money. And me and Gabe are hundreds. So we were counting these things in 1,000 packs, and we get through it. But then we get the husband and the wife in the car. They're extremely grateful. But one of the things he got locked up for was synthetic marijuana. And you guys know me. Since I retired,
You're okay with that?
I'm not doing any synthetic. But I happened to mention to him because he was a nice guy. We got to talking. He was a nice guy. His wife was nice.
And we worked on that other one where I sued Henrietta Arnold, the lieutenant in the police department.
Yeah, Jeff, that was a case that Jeff and I worked. And again, it's policemen go wrong with some of the stuff they do, and Jeff called me and said, "Hey, I got some information on a case." He says, "But it involves policemen. What do you want to do?" I said, "Jeff," I said, "what is it?" And you told me what it was, and I was like, "Yeah, fuck them." Because just like you earlier, when I mentioned that it hurt you that the FBI did what they did in the Flynn case,
right?
It hurts all of us when people do stupid shit in our profession. And me and Joe are doing a thing with the BMF now, and it's at the end there's a DEA agent that's banging an informant. That's the kind of stuff that you just like, what do you think?
Right. It's amazing.
And you brought that to me, and I over the years, some of the stuff that, and like I said, some of our more interesting cases were not policemen. What is your most interesting case as a prosecutor at the U.S. Attorney's office?
Well, someone else handled the case. A great prosecutor named Tom Meehan handled it. I was just tangentially involved in the electronic.
Meehan's the best.
Yeah, some of the electronic searching stuff, because that was my job at the time. Was at Maury Travis, and I think you guys have talked about that one. I mean, to me, that it's not funny.
He was a serial killer of prostitutes.
Horrible serial killer. Just so it's hard to find any humor in that. But what happened was the Post-Dispatch wrote an article saying, basically that if these women had been suburban white women, this would be more investigated. But because they're African American women in the city in East St. Louis, it's not being investigated enough. So then later, maybe 2 weeks later, this guy writes a letter to the Post-Dispatch saying, nice sob story about these women. You'll find body number, 13 here.
Right.
So there was a window of time that had to occur within. And then everybody was all over that letter, like DNA, fingerprints, and all that kind of stuff. And couldn't find anything. But then the city had an awesome forensic guy. I don't know if I've ever worked with a better forensic guy, Bob Muffler. I think he was a sergeant, maybe. And he realized that on these internet maps, the font's always a little bit different if you go from one to another, or the name of the road's written on one side or the other, that they're unique. So he just sat at home going through these maps all night and eventually found the one. It was Expedia.com. And there was a question as to what you needed to do to get that information from Expedia. Whether you need a search warrant or subpoena, a lot of issues about that. But anyway, he found it. They traced it to the house. He was the only one who had searched the Expedia for that map during that window of time. So they knew what house it was, and they went and got him. But then maybe a day or two later, some FBI agents from over in Illinois were on some national show, I don't know, Inside Edition or something like that, and basically explaining how they solved the case. And I just thought, this is great. This is so perfect.
Ain't that a bitch?
So I called Muffler. I'm like, hey, FBI did a nice job on that case, man. It was.
We had that
it was
kind
great.
of in the Ben Owenby. Was the other Ben Owenby, and what was the other guy's name?
It's an old story.
Cut this out. Yeah.
Right.
But when John Winter, they found the guy, the guy that had done the kidnapping of these two. Sean Hornbeck.
Oh, yeah.
And they found the guy at the Emos. And shortly thereafter, they scraped the guy up, and the two guys that found him never mentioned again. Never mentioned again. Everybody's on Oprah's show. They're making worldwide tours of all this great investigation.
But that one wasn't my case. I think the most fun one I did probably as an AUSA. I mean, some great ones as an agent, but as an AUSA was I prosecuted a bunch of executives. I mean, this is pretty boring for this show at Charter Communications.
Oh, yeah.
No,
it's not. We all watch cable. Fuck these guys. They charge the shit out of us.
Now,
tell us about this.
Now I like, Charter, Spectrum, whatever they are. But at the time,
pay too much for that shit.
Wall Street cable companies would trade on their number of customers. They were also knew that revenue didn't really matter so much as everybody could see the future and how many customers do you have.
Sure.
So what they would do is at the end of the quarter, when people would call up to disconnect because they didn't want Charter anymore, they would just delay them for a month, 2 months, as long as they could get to the end of that quarter and report those higher numbers. And then afterward, then they'd flush them all out and give them their money back. So it was just, but I was getting ready for trial, and it was so great because everybody hated that company at that time. Again, right now they're all good,
sure.
but everybody hated them so much. I was thinking, you get 12 people in St. Louis that are going to. I mean,
Charter. Who's the defendant? Charter. Yeah,
right.
Fuck these guys.
Right.
So that sounds fascinating to me. So they inflated the numbers to inflate the stock price before the quarter.
Yeah.
So how did you show knowledge and intent? Did you have to?
I mean, they called them managed disconnects. So mainly, almost like most cases, it's in the email. Somebody said something stupid in the email.
Fantastic.
And I think there might have been a whistleblower there. Those are a lot of the cases I did were sort of financial reporting cases.
That.
So it's not that exciting.
It is, unfortunately, it's tremendously exciting to me. So I love it. So if you guys don't like that, that's amazing.
The other one was JJ's not. He was trying to be here. He couldn't make it. But he said, "You make sure you tell Jensen we know he cheated in the police Olympics back in the day."
Okay, that's true. We did cheat. Because we were getting tired.
So tell us how you cheated
we
in
cheated.
the police Olympics.
So we would get crushed by the St. Louis City Police Department every year in the basketball.
In what sport?
In basketball.
In basketball.
They were
all
just
right.
crushing us. and I was tired of it. So we finally figured out when you check into the police Olympics, they look to see if you have a badge, so you're not bringing in a ringer. Well, the FBI badges don't say what city you're in. They're just an FBI badge. So we brought in, all these former college players. We just brought in a bunch of great athletes from around the country. Well, I remember one from New York, played in Kansas somewhere, and they were just great.
But you were the orchestrator of this?
Yeah. So I was the main cheater. So we win. And Archie Shaw, who I just love.
Just loves it.
Great,
He's the best.
Great police officer. He pretty much figured it out. I was like, Jeff, I don't remember ever seeing those guys around.
I work at the FBI office.
Right. So, no, you know that foreign counterintelligence stuff,
right.
Archie. They're pretty secretive. So then, I eventually admitted it. And then when Archie, right when I started as U.S. Attorney, remember he was shot in the shoulder. He really had his shoulder taken off,
right?
All the flesh on his shoulder taken. It was a horrible situation. So then the FBI agents brought over that giant trophy and gave it to him in the hospital. And
cool.
Everyone fully confessed. They're like, yes, we cheated.
So you cheated for good reason.
Yeah,
so you found that ain't even right. That's even making it worse.
I know.
So you took cheating and then found some kind of incident that you could get some sympathy for,
right?
And tied the cheating to the sympathy.
No, it's many levels of evil. It's many levels of evil.
That ain't even right, dude. Ain't even right. And John, you got a good one. Tell the one with John, there was a roundup day, and you guys have heard in some of these cases we do roundups, and when you do roundups, there's multiple search warrants, multiple people that have arrest warrants. And there's multiple agencies that just go out and look for these people and do the search warrants. And John has a good story for the other.
Can I tell this, Jeff?
Yeah, we can always edit it out later if you go overboard, right?
No, it was simple, but it was funny because we worked this big, OCDF case, and it was a roundup day, and everybody was out looking for all these. Everybody had their people they were supposed to go pick up, and I was down at the U.S. Marshal's office because we brought our guy in, and this one poor guy, I don't remember his name, but he Jeff and his crew went by the house and he wasn't there, but his mom says, I'll call him, and so the guy calls Jeff and his crew and says, yeah, I'll turn myself in, meet me wherever, and you guys went and picked him up. So this guy is the only person out of like 20 defendants that actually voluntarily gave up, turned himself in, and apparently nobody called the marshals to let them know that we were bringing all these prisoners down, and I think it might have even been like a Friday or something. So Jeff comes in with this guy. He's completely cooperative, and I'm sitting there because my guy's getting processed or whatever, and Jeff goes, "Hey, I got this guy on this roundup," and the guy from the marshals is like, well, I'm not taking him. You guys didn't call ahead of time.
Like, what am I supposed to do?
And Jeff's like, well, I got my guy.
Him home.
Yeah. Because I'm going home.
It's turn himself in.
So Jeff,
I do remember that.
So Jeff brings the guy in, and the marshal grabs the guy and hands him back to Jeff. And Jeff goes, well, he's not my prisoner anymore. I'm at the marshal's office. He's your prisoner. And Jeff hands him back to the guy, and the guy's cooperative. He's this, he was like a guy like in his 40s. He wasn't like some nut that was going to do something crazy. So anyway, they keep pushing him back and forth, and finally the guy looks at me. He goes, "Sir, will you please lock me up?" He goes, "I just want to get this over with." And finally, I think Jeff just push him in the door, close the door real quick, and
I'm out.
And
run away.
And took off. Yeah,
marshals versus the FBI.
Yeah.
I'm out.
There's always that agency tension going on, and I'm sure we should have called. We were supposed to call him, tell him bringing somebody, but wasn't
now
my
you
time.
bring
It was
that
just
up.
the guy bringing the guy in.
This has come up in our conversations when we're doing this thing with the BMF and we're trying to put this whole thing together. The egos in law enforcement when it comes to certain types of cases, is out of control. Because nobody wants to work with, especially inter-offices. If you have multi-states going on. Right. Because in the BMF thing, and Joel will tell you, is that
You know, St. Louis would get information, but we ain't passing shit to Detroit. And Detroit was the same way, and Atlanta was the same way.
Right. Everybody wants the.
Is that everybody wanted
Right.
the BMF tag on them, right, Joe?
It happens.
I think what's really important about that, and we're going to discuss this a little bit more in detail, is we talk about this all the time. We messed up. We had no idea what we had at the very beginning. And I think if we would have cooperated and we would have worked together, we would have put an end to it years before. And it splintered, obviously. BMF exploded and it splintered into smaller little sub-BMF groups. And because our lack of cooperation with each other, it went on for a lot more years.
That dope game
And
got a ton of egos in it, doesn't it?
I think the police really, because there's a lot of guys that get up and beat their chest about, I did this to BMF. You know what? I say we fucked it up, and we should have been a lot better at it, and we weren't. And until we learned towards the end, and when we got towards the end, it really, really got closer to that symbiotic relationships with the agents, the prosecutors in the different states.
Right.
And I think the FBI, I know we kind of beat on the FBI a little bit today, but the FBI did a massive BMF case here in St. Louis.
Right.
And the strike force, they did a great job.
The line level people in the FBI are wonderful. I mean,
Right. It's every agency.
Right.
Okay, whether it's the FBI, whether it's the St. Louis Police Department, whether it's this police department or that police department, depending on how big you are, you're going to have some complete fucking assholes in that profession.
Yeah. And people are skeptical of each other.
Right.
My trick was when we do you do one of those roundups John was talking about. Of course, it starts at 5 in the morning. You meet at one place, then you go to the next staging area, It's just, but it takes forever. But we used to I'd walk into some department somewhere, and you're pretty geared up to go for that. Walk in, and there's always tension, and I would say, we're here for the press conference. They're like, what? No, we're doing this round. I'm like, oh shit! I thought this was a press conference. I don't want to be here for this. This could be dangerous.
Let's have fun.
And it'll break the ice.
That's one of the things too, is that over the years, the people that I've made fun are have kept in contact with. Like I said, we met on the first case you ever went over.
Been friends
we
ever
met
since.
early.
Right?
I met John Frank when he came and worked with me, and keeping those relationships over the years is just so much fun. And like I said, when I call you on certain shit, this is Sawyer. I ain't telling him shit. And Joe knows that too. And Joe was in a skiff. Joe was in the what was it? Syntax?
Yes.
Very highly sensitive information.
Right.
And he knew, okay, Sawyer's calling. I'm going to talk to him about Sawyer's shit. I ain't telling him about, something blowing up shit or anything else.
But that's the fun of this show. It gives people good memories. I mean, like I said, Harry Hager, you have Layshock on here. I mean, you've had some.
Now we've got
legends.
You and Jack Riley, and again, it's almost like trying
I don't mean
to name.
me. I mean those other people.
Earlier, you were talking about the U.S. Attorney's Office, and I hesitate to say names because you're going to forget some. They're all tied for first, in my opinion. They were some great people.
Oh man,
especially here,
gals and I mean,
I do have a question about if you're asked, would you ever get involved in any type of special counsel ever again?
I think in the right circumstances, I would. I mean, I guess we haven't talked about Pam Bondi, General Bondi. I don't know her personally, but a couple of my partners, Pat Cipollone and Bill Barr, and another one, Kate Todd, they know her really well, and they speak the world of her. So if someone like that asked me to do anything for the country, I'd give it some real hard thought.
So I asked Sawyer to ask you, but I'm asking you now. So if you go and do anything of that nature, please consider an old investigator.
All right.
I'd love to be a part of it.
Well, you need people you trust. I would be surprised if this, if under General Bondi, if they used many special prosecutors. I mean, I was sort of a special prosecutor, lowercase, from the inside. I think that's probably more likely what they would do than hire an outside person to come in.
Do you mind
if it's out of control?
Do you mind if I ask a question about Miss Bondi?
Sure.
So what do you think her agenda is going to be? We've heard about law and order and all that. What do you think her agenda is going to be moving forward?
What do you step up? What do you decrease? I'm guessing, obviously the border, obviously violent crime, opioids, fentanyl. That'll be huge. And then I think they'll probably do a lot less at ENRD, which is the Environment Natural Resources Division, Civil Rights Division, and they pretty much clean house at the top of ENRD. And I think they'll reduce that. They'll reduce Civil Rights Division. In other words, the parts of the Civil Rights Division that do investigations of police departments.
Okay.
I think that'll go way down. I think environmental prosecutions will go way down. I hope. I defend a lot of companies before them, and I think they kind of tend to, lately they've been sort of criminalizing what I would consider regulatory issues.
Okay.
If you have an environmental thing that's an accident, really an accident, why do you need years to investigate that as a crime? Okay. You know, those kinds of things. I think you're just going to have more common sense, in my opinion. But I'm biased.
Do I ask one more? Can I ask one more?
Absolutely.
I know it's
Let's
your
roll,
birthday.
baby. We're
I
good.
promise I'll buy you a beer next week.
All right.
So my last question is: do you think the FBI's footprint in intelligence work, not counterintelligence work, but intelligence work, intelligence gathering after 9/11, how that budget kind of ballooned up, do you think that will lessen?
I would guess so. I mean, the problem is, it's hard to measure success there.
Okay.
You know, when you're given, so how much do you cut? I don't. It's hard to know. And that one mistake, then that's it. You can't afford a mistake there. So I'm not really sure, but
Okay.
I think I like it better when the FBI is focused on violent crime. They add some things that with some of their technology, some of their magic, they can, and also coordinating among cities and different departments, they really help in that regard. Now they're not street people. They don't know how to work a case on the street typically. You know, I was an accountant. It wouldn't make sense for me to work a dope case in St. Louis, but sometimes they can assist the local law enforcement in ways that is really helps launch the investigations.
No, I think with St. Louis, with the police department we've had over the years, and the relationships we've had with our federal counterparts, you being with the FBI and you being with the DEA, and I've known a lot of ATF guys too, U.S. Postal, the rest of them. I think we've had an outstanding relationship for the most part.
Right. Oh, I think so.
I mean,
and I think it's probably better now than ever with Gabe Gore in place, who's from what I can tell from the outside, he's doing a great job.
Outstanding.
Sailor Fleming is the U.S. Attorney. I mean, and then that everybody then starts coming together. So
Right.
you're not having arguments at the top.
Right.
So I think we're in a good spot. Yeah, I think we're in a real good spot right now. I think things are going
Absolutely.
to get better. Crime's going to go down. I hope.
Well, happy birthday.
Hey, thank you, brother.
Have a
Thanks
good
for
night
having
out
me.
with your wife, and thank you for
Appreciate it.
coming by.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Joe.
Awesome to
Thanks for
see
having
you
me.
again.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you.
Peace.
John.
Cheers.